grab an automatic weapon, buckle your seatbelt, and keep one hand on the wheel, because in this episode, we're heading down to do battle on Thunder Road.
Roll for random encounter.
Auto tracking, please. Now, what kind of board game got its own TV commercial this exciting before? And that awesome theme song beats Bruce Springsteen's Thunder Road any day. Oh, yeah. Those are some tough-looking kids. Oh, yeah. Let's play. All right, and welcome to the table. Today we're going to be taking a look at Milton Bradley's 1986 classic, Thunder Road, the Ram and Wreck survival game. Taking a look here just at first glances of the box art. I like the box art. It screams 1980s. It screams Road Warrior, Mad Max, but it's also representative of the actual game itself, which I also like. We have models of cars that are actually used in the game, such as the Eliminator. We have things exploding, choppers flying through the air. We've got it all. We've even got a group of young boys having a death race through a post-apocalyptic nightmare. Over here, ages 10 and up, I already disagree with this. We were playing this game at a much younger age. It's a very simple game. If you're able to roll dice and count spaces, you should be good to go with this game. And, of course, for 2 to 4 players. Eliminate your opponents and own the last surviving car on the game board. Pretty simple stuff. Let's flip it over and take a look. But before we do that, we better grab
Sword of Power!
Oh, yeah! Now let's go over here. Fine training for young boys in the 1980s. All of the things in this game they learned would become very useful after the year 2000. Trust me. Drive and survive on the never-ending road. So, Road Warrior, looking for gasoline? Unfortunately, no. But let's see what we do get. It's a desert road race played on a unique game board that never ends. Drive on the road and try to survive. Outrun opponents and dump the stragglers left behind. Switch and link the game board to create a new road every time you need one. Wish it worked like that in real life. You hear that, Google Maps? You have 3 attack cars and 1 aerial assault chopper. Use them to ram and shoot your opponent's cars. Wreck them and ride to victory. The last surviving car owns the road and its driver becomes the ultimate survivor. Will it be you? Well, you better hope so. So down here we get some instructions on how to switch and link the board, showing the mechanic. Exciting stuff. More exciting, ram and shoot other cars. Attack with your chopper. Oh yeah. And then we get a components list. Notice there's not a whole lot of components involved with this game. Milton Bradley with the giant box. I see what you were doing, advertising from the shelf. Back when that actually mattered. Thanks, Amazon and online shopping. Assembly required. So, pretty standard fare here. You know, we've got a basic board game. Not too complicated, not too involved, but plenty of fun. So let's go down and take a look at our components. We get 4 teams of 3 ground vehicles each and attack choppers. We get yellow movement dice, D6. We get 1 specialized road dice. And we get 2 D6 combat dice. Why they needed yellow dice for movement and red dice for combat, who knows? But that's what they gave us, and we'll take it. Over here, we have some burnt out hulls of cars. I like to think they represent players in the past that I've destroyed as I survived the Thunder Road. 1 black and white fold out rule book. Not a whole lot of rules to this game, very easy to remember. Most, the first few pages of this book are how to assemble the plastic cars if you bought it new. Then we get into how to play the game. So, not a whole lot needed to know there. Who needs instructions anyway? I can survive on my own. Now let's take a look at our 2 never-ending road playing boards. I've got a mat down here, a desert mat I use for role-playing and wargaming, but I said, let's give it some atmosphere. Let's make it look awesome. So this is our starting board. Though you can't see it all in one frame, it is covered in these peculiar icons. What are these? I will explain. Everywhere you see a red X icon, that means a burnt out car goes there and stays there throughout the game. When it comes to the small colored icons, if you look close enough, you will see that each icon has a different, silhouette of a car present. And that tells you where your particular car starts on the board for your team. Nothing too complicated about that, and that only applies when you start the game. Both boards will be used continuously, as we will see. So just to give you a demonstration, we will set up the starting board, for example. We'll take our burnt cars, place them on the map. Then let's take one team, let's say the green team while we're here. The Doom Buggy, the Avenger, and the Eliminator. That's your team of cars. Now let me explain. There's something you need to remember about each of these cars. Starting with the smallest, the Doom Buggy. This car has an armor value of 4. The next car size up, the Avenger, has a car armor value of 5. The Eliminator, the largest of the cars, has an armor value of 6. Those are easy to remember and needed to remember because that is what will be required for another car or attack chopper to hit you and flip you upside down. Now let's explain the dice a little bit. On the start of your turn, you're going to need to roll 3 of the yellow dice, possibly the road dice. We'll explain that in a second, but let's put it to the side now. But you're going to need the bare minimum 3 dice. You roll your 3 dice. Okie dokie. Now what you will do with your 3 dice is if you have 3 cars on the board, you will assign each dice to one of the cars. They can move the appropriate spaces as determined by the dice, and an exact number of spaces at that. So let's say we have our Eliminator, and let's describe movement here. Let's get somewhere on the board where it's not too bad. He's on the road. So we roll a 4 and a 2. Now, we'll just roll a 4. We'll explain the road dice in a minute. I get ahead of myself sometimes. When moving, you're only allowed to move in a forward motion. So you could not move backwards. You could not move to here, nor here, but you have a choice of here, here, or here. So we'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, avoiding the wreck. That's an example of movement. Remember that it always has to go forward, never backwards. But let's give an example of the road dice. As you can see, this dark strip down the middle of the board. If you don't have a car on this dark strip, they're off into this desert terrain type area. You do not roll this road dice here. But let's say you have a car, 1, 2, maybe all 3 cars on the road. If you have that, you roll this black road dice along with your normal dice, and you add the bonus of this dice to each of the cars starting their movement on the road. Nothing too complicated, but it gives a little extra movement if they're riding along the smooth road instead of the rocky, dusty, sandy terrain. Also with the road die, once you roll it with your normal yellow die, the bonus you get on the road die, whatever it be, applies to both, or if you have more than one car on the road, it applies to each and every car. You do not re-roll this die. So that's just a little quip for the road die. Staying on the road, of course, can make you go faster. There is a race mechanic to this game. It's not just bash and smash and destroy, though that's a good part of it. But essentially, you'll need to race ahead and get off the board before your opponents can repair their cars after you flip them. So always remember, stay on the road if you can. The road die is handy. With movement, you know, we talked about it. It must always be a forward movement. You are allowed to pass through these black wreck cars here. You know, that if my movement, let's say I had this car and I rolled a 4, and I had another car here blocking, because you're never allowed to pass through another player's car. But if this car here is blocking, so we had a 4, I could move 1, 2, and either I could go off the road, or I could try to pass through this car. Passing through this car, I would need to roll a 4, 5, or 6 to pass through the car successfully, counted as a space 3 and 4. If I rolled a 1, 2, or 3, my car would be wrecked on top of the black, burnt out hull of a car. So that covers movement in a nutshell. Now let's talk about attacking other vehicles. There's several options you have here, but you must pay attention to the rules carefully. This is one spot where I have to really remind other players that, you're not necessarily allowed to do what you're trying to do. But let's say we, 1, 2, 3, 4, let's say we rolled a 5 here. Okay, we want to attack this car with our vehicle, green versus gray. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Our exact count left at 5. We're on the space with him. By exact count, if you land on the same space with another car, you're allowed to ram the car. Okay? And what that means is you take your red die. Each player gets 1. In a ramming situation, we're going to take the armor value of this doom buggy for the gray player, which is 4. We're going to roll the die. He's going to get 3, so he adds his 4 plus his 3 for a total of 7. Now we know the green car, the Avenger here, has a total armor value of 5, so we roll the die. He only gets 2. How about that? It results in a tie. What that means is both cars stop their movement there, whoever was moving, whoever did the ramming, and they both start from this position, that it's a tie. But let's say if the green car won, what would happen is he would ram the opponent, and his opponent's car would flip upside down to show that it was disabled. It would need to be repaired before it could move again. And we'll get into repairing cars here in a second. And the green car would continue. But let's say the gray doom buggy won. Well, it's the complete opposite. The green player's Avenger would then be flipped upside down to show it's disabled. And then on the next turn, the gray player would continue their turn on into the distance. Now let's talk about attacking. Attacking happens when you land by exact count directly behind your opponent's car. All vehicles can fire weapons. So in this case, the green Avenger pulls in by exact count behind the gray doom buggy. The gray doom buggy has a armor class of 4. Armor class. That's from a role-playing game. Armor value. But he's got a value of 4. So what the green car does is roll his attack die. And he matches the total against the doom buggy's total. If it is equal to or greater than the total, this car is disabled into a fiery crash of bullets. He will need to repair his vehicle. So let's get into repairs. When you have a disabled vehicle, it's represented by being placed upside down on the board. Now, I said there is a race mechanic because you want to sweep these upside down cars and other player cars that are going slow off the board. We'll get in how do you do that, but first let's get into repair. You always roll your 3 movement dice no matter how many cars you have available to move. Why? Because if you happen to roll a double 6, you know, what's the chances that I could roll a double 6 here? Not very good. Hey, 1 and 1 didn't do me any good, but hey, a 6 did come up. But let's say we did roll a double 6. That would allow me to flip my car over at the beginning of my turn and continue movement onward as normal. But until I rolled a double 6 with my roll of my movement dice, it would stay disabled. Let's continue. Okay, in this scenario here, we're going to talk about racing down the board, swapping boards, and removing disabled vehicles. So it's our gray player's turn. The Doom Buggy's on the road. He's going to get his road dice. So we're going to give it a good roll. We get a 6 and a 2. So we're going to assign the 6 and the 2 to our Doom Buggy. So he's going to be able to pick up and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So as you see, he left the board that has the disabled Green Avenger on it. And we will continue. So the green player rolls. He didn't get to repair his last vehicle. So it's back to the gray player's Doom Buggy. What am I doing there? Okay, not a great roll, but we're going to take the 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, the green player is going to roll. He does not repair his vehicle. And this time, our gray player has 5, enough to get off the board, what I was wanting to show. So he moves 1, 2. And at this point, he's at the end of the road here. Over here, this guy, he's out of luck because we're going to pick this board up. And according to the instructions, we should slide, for whatever reason, all of the vehicles off the board. Pull this one to the rear and add it here. And at this point, the gray player has officially won the game. He's the last vehicle standing. Let's talk about these attack choppers. Okay, these are a little balancing issue in the game that help the game more than hinder it. I don't know. It's a balancing issue. I can't decide if it unbalances the game, makes it last too long, or does it help out players who've just had really bad luck of the die. So, but we normally include them in our game. Once per board. Okay, a board includes both boards, but we'll just say once per board for just short explanation purposes. A player at the start of his turn may take a helicopter, place it behind one car of their choice of an opponent, and roll just like they were making an attack using another vehicle. One caveat is this helicopter can never be attacked. So if it's attacking this car and it misses, or it does blow up this car, the next car can't come up behind it and shoot it or try to ram it. Okay, so there, like I said, there's a balancing issue there. I'm not sure if I'm for or against, but we use them and we have a lot of fun with them. So hey, you know, it's your game. You make it what you want. Okay, I've set the board up for a small 2-player game here. I'm going to control both sides, but I figured it would be helpful for you to see some gameplay, especially if you're deciding you may want to get into Thunder Road. So let's give, in the rule book, there's no official rules of how to pick, you know, the first player. How we break it down is the high roller goes first, you know. So in this one, we'll let green be yellow and gray be the red die. We'll shake them up and high roller goes first. Okay, so definitely green's going first. So let's take an example of the rules here. We don't have any cars on the road. So let's see if we move our road a little bit without tearing it up too bad. Move our road a little bit. Maybe that'll give us an area for shaking dice here and rolling dice that you can see on the camera. This is a massive board, so therefore it's hard to capture without hanging a camera up somewhere on the ceiling or something. Not going to do that. Not with my wife. Anyways, Green's going first, so we're going to roll the movement dice. Nobody on the road on the first turn. And one thing you must remember with the first turn is that cars are not allowed to ram or shoot each other or use the attack chopper, I don't know, I think it's attack chopper. Yeah, attack chopper, but until they get onto the second board. So let's let those green cars fly. All right, a really decent roll for the green cars. So now we're going to assign dice for our green cars. I believe I'm going to use the 6 for this dune buggy here. So let's take the camera with us. And we're going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we're on the second board now officially. And I'm going to I always put the die by the car there. That way when I come back to the dice pool, I can't accidentally select one die for 2 cars. The others get to move 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We made him to the road. And our eliminator gets 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So the green turn now is over. So our gray team is going to get to roll and move their vehicles. All right. Decent roll for the gray team. Nothing to complain about there. I'm going to mix it up a little bit with him. We're going to assign his eliminator six movement points. Just making it on the road there. We'll give his Avenger 5. Notice always moving forward. And we'll give the Doom Buggy 4. All right, and a cat fight in the background. All right, got our Marshall kitties out of the way. We're back at it. So it is our green turn. At this point, we have several green vehicles on the road. In fact, all 3. So we will be adding our road die to our roll. And here's a sneaky thing. If for some reason I was able to get my first Doom Buggy off the end of this board, almost the entire team of my opponents would be wiped out, but also almost all of my entire team as well. So that's just something to think about, but it's a strategy I like to use. So let's go over here and roll these dice. Okay, we got 2 6s and a 4 and a 1 for the road die. So let's see what we can make our Doom Buggy do. We're going to use the 6 plus 1 to get 7 movement. Okay, moved him over here. He narrowly avoided a burnt out hole. Let's see what we got here. Anything we can make exciting here? Yes, we can show you something a little exciting. We can show you a ram, possibly. Remember, this is always optional, to use if you decide to use it or not. The Avenger here, we're going to assign him a... We're going to assign the Avenger 6 plus 1. Okie dokie. Not enough to attack the Doom Buggy. But if we assign the Eliminator just 4, we can move in 3 and 4. And we get a ramming situation. How fun. So at that point, I'm not going to use both red combat die. I'm going to give the green Eliminator a yellow die and the gray Avenger a red die. And we'll add their armor values and see who wins the ramming match. Okie dokie. Obviously, the green Eliminator has won drastically. So at this point, we would flip the gray car over to show that it's disabled. And that will end our turn. By the way, I guess I should explain, this car has an armor value of 6. This one has an armor value of 5. So obviously 6 plus 6 is 12. 5 plus 1 is 6. So drastic win for the green Eliminator. Gray's turn. Now Gray's starting on the map with one of his cars disabled. And he has some cars on the road. So he's going to roll all 4 of his movement dice. Okie dokie. Interesting enough, he rolled 3 5s and a 2. So he does not get to repair this car. So he's going to assign one of the 5s to his Doom Buggy and move him 7 spaces. As we can see, it's getting a little crowded at this end of the board. He's going to assign his other 5 to his Eliminator. And he got him successfully off the board. All right, let's have a few more turns here, and we can see some of the things going on. At this point, it's the green player's turn. In comes the attack chopper. Got to spin the propellers, you know, make it more cinematic. And the green chopper is going to attack the Doom Buggy. Doom Buggy has an armor value of 4. So a 4, 5, or 6 blows him to smithereens. And he's blown to smithereens just like that. See those choppers, they balancing issue with the choppers, you know, I don't know. It can be so unfair sometimes, but everybody gets one, so it's fair. You know, anyways, time for our movement dice. We do have an opportunity of leaving the Gray Avenger to its doom on the never-ending Thunder Road. What is that, a Bob Seger song? Yeah, I'd like to leave him on Thunder Road. Let's see. Movement dice. Can we eliminate one of the player's opponent's cars with the Gray Avenger? First, if the green player was smart, he's going to assign at least his 2 over here to his Eliminator, and he gets the 2 road bonus. So 1, 2, 3, 4. He's off that board. Now, with the green buggy, we have a 6 plus a 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's the end of the Gray Eliminator as we swap out the boards. And this makes up the never-ending road, as you can see. Now we move 5 and we still have 2 left on our road dice. So 1 and 2, he's made it to a new board. And the game goes so forth until there's no one left, but I'm not going to bore you to death with a ton of gameplay.
Thunder Road is a lovely tabletop game. It's thematic, it's simplistic, and the gameplay is fast and exciting. Things that I find very enjoyable. You know, the thing about its simplicity lends itself well to us hobby gamers, that if we want to make the game something more than what it is out of the box, it's very easy to do so with the base mechanics. Maybe you add in some different speed values for cars, armor values, or weaponry, you know, and we've seen hobby games doing vehicular combat, you know, Car Wars from Steve Jackson, Dark Future from Games Workshop, Battle Cars from Games Workshop. You know, all these systems can lead to bigger and better ideas for Thunder Road. And I think this year, Restoration Games, who's brought back quite a few of the, you know, 1980s titles into modern concepts, they are planning to release a new version of Thunder Road. So I can't wait to see what they bring out. So, you know, Thunder Road, simple, fun, clean, and exciting. Everybody at your table should probably enjoy Thunder Road for what it is. Anyways, I'm Deathstalker 5, and I'll see you guys next time on the Random Encounter Show. Hey, this is Deathstalker 5. If you like the Random Encounter Show, make sure you're subscribed to our channel so that you'll be the first to know when we upload a new episode. Want to support the show? Head over to Questing Table Studio on Facebook. Let us help you bring your table to life with miniature painting services and terrain.